What I love to do is introduce the right people to the right people.
I assemble the smartest people I can think of or reach out to carry that conversation, and that's exactly what I've done today.
Please give my panel a round of applause. Welcome.
Okay guys, Jay Martin here, CEO of Cambridge House, and I'm joined by Rick Trotman, the President and CEO of Barksdale Resources. Rick, how are you?
I'm pretty good, Jay. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you back. We've been covering this story, your company, for about a year now, right? And watched the whole journey from a bit of a fragmented landscape in Arizona that you've now consolidated through Barksdale. You've created now the largest land package in Arizona via Barksdale. Is that right?
No, not Arizona. I'm sure that there's some majors out there that have gigantic land packages, but in the district that we're working in, yeah, we've got the largest land package.
God, that's why I ask you these questions.
I'd love to have the biggest land package in Arizona.
Yeah, in the district. That is what I meant to say. So congratulations on that. Last time I had you on, we focused on that because I know that was a lot of work to consolidate that district and sets you up very strategically for some of Barksdale's goals because of who your neighbors are, et cetera. What I wanted to focus on today was your project in Mexico, which is where we're going to see some nearer term news flow. And so at a high level, Rick, especially if somebody's not familiar with the story, why don't you catch my audience up on what's going on at your San Javier project in Mexico?
Sure. Yeah. So our San Javier project is copper gold, located right off the highway, about 2 hours east of the capital of Sonora, Mexico. And so this is a copper oxide deposit that's just sitting right at surface effectively. So there's a resource on it. And what we aim to do with our first drill program there is to one, confirm the historic results, and then two, start to test some of our geologic ideas as to how the mineralization got to be there. And more importantly, what's the distribution of that mineralization within the deposit so that we can start to really get a better picture on why it's there in an effort to then look for more. And so that's going to be a very fun and exciting program that will start here shortly. So I would suspect in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be putting out news talking about, kind of the reaching the end of the road on a number of different fronts, including getting our ejido agreement in place, which is the surface rights owners down there in Mexico, getting the drilling permits, and then cementing a contract with a drilling company to actually initiate the program. So here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start getting really, really busy at Barksdale. And everyone should stay tuned because I suspect that we'll have some news on that coming out shortly.
Now, has that been tough right now getting rigs to site? Have you been able to get everything that you want? And I guess just talk to me a little bit about that timeline, speculating, of course, because things can happen. But drills on site or drilling in a month or so. And then when do you expect to be putting news out, Rick? Yeah.
So we had, I think, 6 or 7 different drilling companies bid on the work, and we had all of them out to site so that they could look at logistics and things of that nature. So we are starting to see bids roll in right now. It looks like availability on drill rigs with some pretty good crews are there. And so we're not too worried about, some of these big backlogs that you're seeing in Nevada and other places and getting available drill rigs. So we should be starting as soon as we have the permissions from the government and the surface rights owners. So I would suspect that would be before the end of July, which is what we guided the market to. I think we're going to be able to hold to that. So once we do have the permits and everything, we'll put out a press release telling people exactly when we're going to start. And then, these are shallow drill holes, Jay. So I would suspect that we'll be able to get through some of the holes rather quickly and off to the assay laboratory once they're logged from a geologic standpoint. So we should start seeing results, kind of end of summer. If we're starting here in the next month, maybe in 2 months, 10 weeks, if everything goes well, we'll start seeing the assays come back from the lab.
Okay. And now talking specifically, what do you hope to show shareholders, Rick, with this drilling program?
Yeah, I hope to show them that we have an asset that's worth advancing. So, we've done a lot of due diligence on this asset, everything that you can do without drilling it effectively. And we've done a lot of work on it since we, picked up the option on it. So what I really want to do is start drilling it and then showing our shareholders that we've made a good purchase, that the asset is good quality, and that we can make it bigger. Because if we can do all 3 of those, Jay, then we can start showing here shortly that there's a reasonable time frame in which we can de-risk it and get it, through the development curve. And being a relatively small scale project, it's not going to take billions of dollars of capital to get it into production, like, so many other people with these big copper porphyries, right? So I think we've got a bit of an opportunity here to really show the market that we have something that is not only opportunistic, but that we can like drive forward relatively quickly. And so that's what we want to do with this phase 1 program. As long as we see all the signs that we need to see, we'll go on to a phase 2 program where we start, infill drilling and de-risking the actual resource and doing the engineering. And then obviously we'll keep exploration going, further afield to find new areas of resources and kind of keep growing the district, so to speak.
Okay. And then now backing up to Arizona, you've done a lot of the hard work consolidating that district. And I know we shouldn't expect news as soon as we will from San Javier in Mexico, but just give us an update, Rick. What can we expect in the next 12 months to come out of Arizona?
Yeah. So the immediate term, Jay, is the completion of this transaction for the rest of Sunnyside. So we announced that back in May that we're buying the minority interest on Sunnyside that we don't already control. The group that we're buying it from, Barksdale Resources, has a special shareholder meeting on the 7th of July. So, they'll vote on this transaction. By middle of July, we should have this thing wrapped up. And going forward as 100% owner of a very large block of mineral rights in this district. As far as milestones on the projects are concerned, we are still on track with Sunnyside to get that preliminary permit approval in the fall of this year, late September, early October. And so that'll be like the defining moment for Barksdale. And so we're still marching towards that goal. The final environmental assessment is being put together now. We've kind of wrapped up all the comment period issues. And so things are chugging along there. And then once we have that, it's a couple of months following that, some objection periods where we would then be able to post our bond and start drilling. So, we've got 6 months of kind of getting the permits and prepping the project for drilling, and then hopefully we're drilling and putting out some very phenomenal, spectacular holes. That's what I'm hoping. if based on the historic drilling, if we can do anything close to that, I think everyone will be very happy.
So talk to me about the historic drilling. Obviously, I'm pulling for the same thing, Rick, as a shareholder. For anyone who's curious about what you're referring to when you say the historic drilling, give us a bit of insight there.
Yeah, sure. So back in the 80s, there was a discovery made on this property. And back then it was deemed to be too deep, so to speak. But, there are pretty significant intercepts of skarn, which is basically a style of geologic deposit. But, we had 38-meter intercepts of, 15% combined lead zinc, 10 ounces per ton silver, with some copper in there. And that's all sitting right next door to our neighbor South 32, which has an immense world-class deposit. And so we have a piece of that deposit. And once we have the permit, we'll be able to drill and explore and show the world how much of that deposit we do control. And since the neighbors are going to be building a mine next door, you can kind of see that if we are able to put together a nice high-grade resource, it will have value to us and others.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Now, Rick, how much attention do you pay to the micro symptoms of the macro copper environment? Because we spent last year on this channel, anyways, talking largely about the demand for silver and copper, right? And you can look at all sorts of macro trends that are pointing to those as the metals to win. Recently, there's been some volatility in price across a variety of commodities, but copper's been no exception. I think it's down to maybe 8-week lows, after hitting all-time highs. And that can give retail investors a lot of anxiety. And I'm definitely a victim of this. You can start to question your thesis, right? Like, did I get something wrong? Right? Did I miss something? Where was my blind spot? Right? Even if it's just a short-term blip in a long-term trend. How do you deal with that as CEO of a copper company? Do you lose sleep over micro symptoms like that? Do you sweat them? Do you just not at all? Not at all.
No, look, copper, just like most commodities, runs in cycles, and I think the signs that I'm seeing in the market suggest that we're still, in a good spot in this cycle. I call it the third or the fourth inning of this baseball game, right? And so the day-to-day gyrations, I think the past week, China came out and basically slapped the hand of some folks that were speculating and hoarding, copper and other metals, basically trying to punt on short-term movements in the commodity price, right? And that type of hand slapping, I think, is probably actually healthy in the longer run. I don't think anybody needs $7 copper tomorrow. I think the fundamentals, I think are in place to see a steady increase in copper price, and these short-term, kind of flights to the moon, so to speak, probably don't help anybody unless you're producing copper that week. And so, look, I think longer term, over the next 2 to 3 years, I think copper prices are set up to be quite robust. I don't see, other than some things coming out of the DRC, I don't see very large copper projects getting pushed through to add significant new supply over the next couple of years. And so, and then you've got all the rumblings in Chile and Peru on these elections and a lot of uncertainty, and we're going to see the typical union activity and strikes. And so, look, I think we've got a good setup for copper over the next couple of years, and that's why I'm very excited to start drilling and hopefully put some good copper results out into the market, right?
I love it. I love it myself as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rick. Thanks for coming back on and giving us an update. I appreciate your time.
Of course, Jay. It's great to be here.
As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit subscribe. I'd love to have you on the team. And if you want to take the next step and go a bit deeper with my content, I publish a free weekly newsletter every Friday where I debrief my portfolio. I distill the top lessons I've uncovered from the guests I've had on this show every week. And I talk about sectors and industries that I think are poised to move, areas that I'm looking for opportunity, and places that I'm allocating capital. I love writing it. We publish every Friday. The link is right beneath this video. Love to have you join the tribe.